have this holiday hearth motif that we're going to work on today. I actually had it in a frame, so I thought I would show it to you that way. It's a lot of fun to do these motifs, and even at Christmas time, if you have a few, you can just swap them out each week and have something different to see. So you can always bring it out each year, or you can make this into a card and send it to a friend. So we've got our line drawing here, and the best way to go about this is going from top to bottom and from left to right. So I'm going to start painting. I've got my little swatches out here. If you've got your take and paint, you have a little strip like that of watercolor paper so that you can test out your colors and practice doing some of your lines. And I'll go ahead and, while I've got the green, come along here on some of these pine needles. And this holly like I have here on my desk. Looking forward to those cozy moments over the holidays. These are little, you could make them ribbon, but they're little holly leaves. And that gets absorbed into the paper, so you can just come back in at any time and kind of deposit some additional paint. I'm just kind of touching the tip of my brush where that paint is and just putting that into my drawing there. Now I'm going to paint these candlestick holders here, and I made them red. I took a red from my box and added, actually that's the extra red from the classic set, and this green from the tropical set, and the red and green being across the wheel. Make a nice, more of a burgundy red here. My example had more of a bright red. You could make them gold if you wanted, and I filled that all the way in, but I would leave a little bit of white of the paper there so it's shining. So to make that correction, go back in and add additional pigment. I really want this to be brighter. It's just soaking right into the paper, so I'm adding a second layer and getting that base right there. And then we have our fun little candle. I've cleared my brush. I have a water brush, so I'm clearing it on my paper towel over there, and I'm adding a little bit of flame. There's the melting wax, and then I've got this cute star here. That's a very bright yellow. I do have more of a gold yellow over here. I'm going to add that in on top just to tone that down a smidge. If you've got a bright yellow, you can add a little bit of brown to it to kind of make it more of a mustard type color if you would like. Now these fun little ornaments. And I'm going to go ahead and paint these trees, which you're welcome to do when you're doing all of your other greens. And I've got the base of this in brown. And now I'm going to take this red and just come in here and very carefully just put a little dot of red for like a holly. I don't have those drawn in everywhere, so you can just kind of sparingly do that. My brush, and I'm going to move to this hearth here, and I've got a darker brown that I mixed up, a little black and brown. As long as your green is already dry, you can come along here and just, oh, I kind of made a mess out of my holly. You can do your hearth whatever color you like. If you want it to be more of a mahogany, a black, You could add in tile here if you wanted. You can take a pencil or a micron pen and draw additional lines and create something very unique. You can just kind of design your hearth the way that you would want around what I've already kind of created here for you. Get a good start. These are creative prompts. It makes the line a little bit fatter. You can always try to practice drawing lines over here. Pull towards yourself. The more you push down, the fatter your line is. So, trying to keep my hand up. Like that. And this is a whimsical design, so it's okay if everything isn't super perfectionistic. Now I'm going to take that, I'll let that dry actually. And so while we're doing that, I think I'm going to come in here and put some of this fire. So I'm coming along some of the sides here of those lines, not filling it all in. Like that, and then we'll come in with yellow and brown later. And while we're waiting on that, we'll start on our basket here. You can make this whatever color you would like. I had a lady take a class, and this reminded her of her childhood living room, and so she painted the wall behind it the color of her childhood living room, and that was fun. She loved it, and it made me happy because her piece was completely unique and gave her joy thinking about all those great memories with family. Now when I'm doing this tree, you can kind of see I'm not going to follow all of those lines, but kind of loop my brush. I'm going to touch the tip of my brush into the ends of these lines here. But then I'll just sort of swirl my brush in little curly lines. Oops. Leaving some white of the paper. And I show this also in the Christmas pickup truck motif. If you want to look at that, it's got a big Christmas tree in it, and so that's much easier to see. It's larger. Now I'm going to turn this around just so I don't put my hands in there. That's very, very wet. And I'm going to paint these ornaments here. Going to get the red right out of the box so that it's not as watered down. It's a little brighter. And I'm going to, the next thing I'm going to do is just very lightly put this in mine. It's just a very light brown. Same color as I used down here, but just lots more water. And I am going to just sort of touch that into, hopefully those are dry, into some of that white space. And if it all looks like one color and you want it to look different, then just after it dries, go back with something darker around there, and that'll do the trick for you. And when that red is dry, you can add the green to it. Might, while I'm waiting for some of that to dry, come back in here and just add a little bit more green. I want it to look like evergreen. And I'll wait on the holly because I just painted that. So now we're going to go down here and do the wood, which is kind of a black and brown mix in my painting. And I'm not filling it all in. I'm leaving the white of the paper just so it doesn't turn into a too indistinct. And it's okay that some of this orange is not exactly dry. It'll just blend together. And now I'm filling in that white space with the yellow. So it gives it some differentiation there. It's popping. Cozy, cozy fireplace. And now I'm going to do the baseboards here. And in this house, they're very similar to this molding. If you're doing more of a modern farmhouse and it's white, you can just put like kind of a little bit of a line of gray on there and not fill it all in, just making it look like a shadow. So I'm going to come in here with a little bit of gray, black. If you have this tropical set and you don't have a black or a gray extra, you can mix ocean and hibiscus together. If you've got your own set and you've got an orange and a dark blue, that works. If you go across the color wheel, you'll add enough in there to get a black. So now I've got that down, but I want it to be very light. So I'm going to press and lift, take some of that pigment away, still leaving these nice little lines like that. The tree's drying nicely. I'm going to go over my basket with another layer, not the whole thing, just to kind of crisp that up. I think it's time to do some of the background. You don't have to do that. I certainly would make sure your brush is clean and doesn't have a red in it, unless you want a red wall. And I'm trying not to activate any of this paint. So I'm going around it carefully. If it's sort of wet, you might want to just go and get a snack or something and come back so that you're not. Just going to, now that that's wet, take a little bit of this really light pigment. You could really even make like a wallpaper and do a design in pencil or micron pen. Too, you can just do whatever you want with that. Kind of making this tan. You could make it more of a gray. That's too much pigment, so I'm moving, kind of getting that up in my brush and moving it around. This is very wet with green. I'm not even going to go close to it. So if I want to come back later, I can, but it will literally activate and go all over my paper. If that were to happen, you just blot it with paper towel, kind of try to clean it up. I think this is dry now, and I'm going to, boy, I've got a lot of water in my brush. I'm going to come into this fireplace, and I want to make mine dark, so it looks like it's dimensional. And I'll just go in here to a cup of that orange without touching the black and make that darker. Now I think I'm ready to clear my brush off and just put a little bit of light blue around this. That little circle is supposed to be a highlight, so you don't want to paint over that if you can help it. That'll make it look more like it's reflecting light. And I've had so many classes with this one, and some people do pink and purple. If you had a really short name or initial, you could put that on the top up here. So, and then I'm going to paint the holly that's over here. I'll wait to do the green. And while we're waiting on doing that green, we can add a little bit of shadow here, which is going to make it look so fun and fabulous. So I've got a little bit of black, making that gray. And whoop, gonna come along here and just make a line. You can imagine that the light is coming this direction and the holly is farther away from the wall than some of this is down here, so the light is farther away. Like this would also be farther, that shadow, because it's away from the wall, would cast further along here. And now you can get around without getting your hand in it. You can go around this candlestick here. And I did like kind of a yellow shadow because it's not a shadow, it's reflecting the light from the candles here and kind of spreading that light around. And the star. I think you should just not stress yourself out about it. I'm going to just put like a line, a very thin line here because it's not really a shadow. But I actually kind of like how that's turning out. It's a little more than I've done in my other ones, but I like it. So I'm going to come along here and get these stockings. And the last thing we'll do is just put this green on here, unless you like it without it. But you have to wait for those to dry if they're two different colors. You can leave the toe white if you wanted to. You can put little designs on here. And I'll do a little bit of gray kind of across the top of that to make it look like it's got fluff and shadow to it. You can work on this till your heart's content, but it makes a great frameable piece, and also it comes in card form that you could send. Happy holidays!